different today. We're going to do the morning routine in the fish room. But first, I thought we'd do a little sound check out here outside in my wife's garden here. This is, she calls it her English British garden. We can use this as a test for the way things look. You didn't think you were tuning into a garden channel, right? But tell me, how's the picture? Tell me how's the picture, and tell me if we have sound. Do we have good sound? Tell me in the comments, please, if we have sound and good picture, and then we're going to jump into that fish room and mess around in there all live while I walk around. Look at this guy. That's what my wife was going for. She was going for a butterfly garden. I think she's got it. So let's go into the fish room. Now let me see if I've got a sound and picture. Can you give me a sound check here? Let me see. AV is perfect. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. It's always a mystery until it's confirmed. Humid, like you'd expect in the summer in Nashville, but very, very nice. And let's go check out what's going on in the fish room. Here's my mess in the fish room. Now, if you watch that last video, you know, in here I have a little goby. I can see him past all the glare. Here he is, he's hiding. Night goby. He's a cutie. Here's some food storage. Big shout out to my friends over at Northfin, Darius and the team, to my friends at Aquarium Co-op, and of course to Josh up at Cunningham for all the support they give the channel. This tank is, like I mentioned in that last video, probably the Shady Acres, the final tank for this electric blue Ochart. And this tank here is now empty because the Coingi was moved back to the 300 gallon. He was getting startled and banging himself against the side of the tank. I mean, a 10, 11-inch fish was just too big for this tank. So he looked like the sore on his belly was healed. So I went ahead and put him back in there. There's the camera hog. So my morning routine is pretty straightforward. I mean, I come down the stairs. I've got to step over Jack. Jack the beagle. He has a little like a little hutch at a little resting area, a little cushion area at the top. You can see him doing what he does most of the day here. Hey Jack, say hi. You're live, buddy. Jackson the Wonder Dog. I'd love to get this thing fixed. I can't find the fellow who made this sign for me. And this part of the fish is off. I'm just gonna have to find somebody who can do that kind of work. But when I come down the stairs, I walk past this. I don't look at this first, but I'll get back to that in a second. I mean, the first thing I do is I check basics, and basics really is, how do the fish look? Are they alive? Are they colorful? Are they active? Are they interacting? And the first tank I always check is the discus tank. And you can see there, They look pretty good. I make sure that filtration and air is working. Make sure that there's a lot of air, a lot of bubbles, because I do keep the tank at 83 degrees. You can see up here, 83. That's a controller. That's what the heaters are plugged into, or the one heater on this tank. And I'm going to be, you'll notice on this side of the aquarium, there isn't a, the UV is gone. Well, what happens, I kept blowing out bulbs. The bulbs kept blowing out on me. And so I finally gave up on the green killing machine for tanks over 80 degrees. Now, that being said, on this tank here, it's a 90-gallon mixed tank. I've had this green killing machine running forever. It's on right now. See that green light? So UV is occurring in this tank. I added it, if you remember way back when, I added it in an effort to help curb hole in the head disease that was showing up on a couple geos. And did the UV handle the hole in the head? I don't know. Did it hurt? I don't think so. But I used meds, I used UV, I used a whole bunch of stuff, and the hole in the head went away. So the hole in the head went away. So hopefully it never comes back. But there's the little green tear. He seems to be thriving in here. His color is good and rich. So I go around the room, I check all the fish. I make sure nobody looks stressed. And if I have any special projects going on, I check those. Like I'll come over to the 300 and peek at that Coingi. There's the Coingi that was just put back in. He's got a few marks on his body from banging himself against rocks in that 29. Now, if I were to use that 29-gallon as a quarantine tank for a big fish again, I would take all the decor out of it. I would only have just filtration and no decor. Because he banged himself against some rocks. But overall, you can see that this guy here is the boss of the tank and can be a real jerk sometimes. There he goes. He keeps everybody on the right side of the tank. He gets a little wilder on feeding time and after water changes. But I'll go ahead and check and make sure everybody in here is okay. Check on the Coingi and check on the new additions. Let me turn this light here. A little bit better light. I'm going to put out a video on fish coloring up, because what's happening in this tank, like look at that sand diver. Look at the pink and red and green in the body that's starting to show up. This little Linny's looking fat and sassy. So the new additions are thriving. It's a strigatus back there. And right here we have the Bucochromis spectabilis, who's getting just some beautiful, beautiful color on his body. If I can get this glare off of him. He settled in, and his dorsal got like a two-tone on it. He's still young. He's still nowhere near where he's going to end up. So anyway, first thing I do is I walk around, I check out all the tanks, make sure everybody's looking good. Look at the 210. Big fat vieja. 2 Oscars. Jockeying for position. Because they know I'm going to go ahead and feed them. at Salvini. She's a pretty gal. Now, another thing I'll do when I come in the morning is I'll check and I'll adjust, let me adjust these lights so that you get the best possible view. Another thing I do is I'll check the sumps. So I can do this with one hand. Don't think it's possible. Hold on. I'll have to use my foot here. Bear with me. We set this up in a way so it doesn't go falling down. Hold on one second. So I'll check the sump to make sure the water level is good. See that water level? I want it to be at the blue tape. So that's not bad. I also check the overflow to make sure the overflow isn't the little basket there. Make sure it's not overflowing, which means it's blocked and the sponges need to be clean, which, by the way, I'm liking a lot more than socks. See all the socks I used to use? Now I use this hard cup with sponges in it. Much easier to clean. And then another thing I'll check when I'm checking the sump is I'll check the algae scrubber. See if we can make that out. Look at all the algae in there. That algae is algae that isn't growing in the tank. It's growing down here. And it's producing oxygen and absorbing nitrates. But that algae scrubber needs to be cleaned out. Every 2 weeks or so, I'll go ahead and clean that algae scrubber. So on this tank, what's needed is an algae scrubber clean out. Otherwise, the sump looks good. I might be due for a clean or a rinse of the pre-filter. There at the back, there's a pre-filter. That's for the FX6 that's on this tank. So I'll take that off. While the filter's running, I'll let the filter run. I'll take that off and rinse it in the sink. Just regular old sink water. There's so much beneficial bacteria in here. I don't worry about using sink water for rinsing sponges. Now the same thing, a similar process occurs here in the sump under the 210. I look at the water level. Water level on this sump is nice and high, so I'm not really worried about that at all. Now, one thing that I am observing is that the water level at this sponge here is noticeably higher than the one at the end. So it means that this one might be getting a little bit blocked. So what I might end up doing is pulling this first sponge out, giving it a good rinse. So that it might be time for that. But the water level otherwise looks good. I do have a top-off unit. I don't know if you can see it back there. That's a top-off. That adds water when the water level in the sump goes down. I'm going to give these guys a little treat. Here's some worms. Six cubes. 6 cubes in that container. That'll be gone in about 5 seconds. I think it's gone already. Now, one thing I do is when I feed them, I turn off the wave maker. This has a 10-second delay, or I believe a 10-minute delay. So when it's flashing like that, it'll pause for 10 minutes. So this beast here that pumps out about 3,500 gallons an hour, I go ahead and turn that one off so it doesn't blow all the food around. Are you hanging in there with me? Hey, Whip, good to see you there, buddy. It's hard to see the messages or the comments. Let me see if we got Beto, Great Lakes, Whip's World. Let me see here. What? Chemco? Tried 3 different Higer pumps. All 3 failed, and oh wow, that's terrible. Good morning, Zach. Ex-Collie. Chemco Super 9. Ozhow. My Higer light went crazy. Hello from Central California. Hey, Justin. Uncle Smiley's Aquarium's in the house. Kim and Carol. Hey, good to see you. Good morning to you. Did I say hi to you, Josh, already? Kendall G in the house. All right. Big shout out to all of you who show up for my live streams, and also to my wonderful moderators, and also to those of you who are members of the Garage Gang, the Patreon supporters. Anyway, on the topic of Higer, this is going to go into the tank with the discus because I removed the UV. So hopefully this one can withstand 83 degrees. And when I do move the discus to a bigger tank, whether that be the 90 or some other tank, and continue running it at 83 degrees, I'm probably going to have to get something like a Coral Life, an inline heavy-duty UV. So that's probably what'll end up happening. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in there. It's 11 watts. Says for 60 to 120 gallon, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And very similar to the green killing machine in that it circulates water and also creates aeration. So I might be able to remove one air pump. We'll see. And Higer also sent me, they're getting into the water conditioner world. Higer all-in-one water conditioner. And they also sent me a new product called a water clarifier. Very nice packaging. I'll be trying those things out. We'll see how that goes. So with the discus, another area of concern is how are my hang-on backs doing? And this is where I go to the board and I'll look at the board. And I can see up here that 718 and 723. So the one on the left, the hang-on back on the left is due for a cleaning. So this one here, I'm walking around with my phone attached to a tripod, but take a look at what the water flow is like. I have some of the Aquarium Co-op filter pads, and that's wrapped around and tucked in place on top of a medium sponge. And then there's a coarse sponge in the back. So you see the water here in the middle, in that little tank in the middle there? That's about to overflow. So that means that this filter is ready for a cleaning. So again, I'll just take it out and rinse it under running sink water. And I'll alternate. I will not clean both hang-on backs at the same time. So that one's loaded with beneficial bacteria. And of course, I've got a ton of beneficial bacteria down here in this old established aquarium substrate. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to take this substrate over to their new tank, because you see the peppering on the forehead? There's a little bit of black spots on the forehead of some of the fish. That's called peppering. And that might be occurring to some degree because of the dark substrate and black background. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to stick with black substrate and a black background. So I'll get to that hang on back in a little bit. Let's go ahead and give these guys a one-handed feeding. This should be interesting. Now, if you've been watching my discus adventure, you know that I've trained these guys to not be as skittish as discus normally are by putting my hand and messing with them, putting my hand in there and messing with them when I feed them or do tank maintenance. So they've gotten a little bit acquainted with me. Now that doesn't mean they don't jump around. They do jump around. And sometimes can get a little bit worked up, but for the most part, they're pretty chill and pretty used to me. This first food I'm putting in is I think it's a German product, Original Stenker. And I have a little bit of Sarah discus specific food mixed in there, as well as some flakes from Cunningham, because I wanted them to be eating some of the food they were eating when they were first being grown out by Josh up at Cunningham Tropicals. So it's a little bit of a mix. But what they really like is this stuff. This stuff is like catnip. It drives them crazy. These are blackworms that I get from Super Cichlids. Let me see if I can do this without dropping the phone. Like I said, the phone's attached to a tripod. Hope you guys aren't getting dizzy from all the movement. This is very different from my normal live stream. You see right here, these are the little cubes. So I'll try to attach them to the wall, but it'll last like 10 seconds. But they'll know that I'm putting the cubes in. Oh, there they come. I think some of them are nearsighted or farsighted because they bite me in the finger. Okay. I like this. Make sure this melon gets some. Come on, buddy. The melon team is at the bottom of the pecking order, but I think he's able to get them. Drop one. Hold on. Well, got them all worked up. Here we go. They didn't like me going down like that and coming back up. Okay. Raw and unedited. You see back there, I've got some of those almond leaves. Oh, why am I laughing? Why am I laughing? I'm laughing. I'm laughing because when I looked at the screen, all of a sudden I noticed that I had touched the mute button. Okay. All right, we good? Are we good? Please tell me we're good. Kendall, tell me if we're good. Z-Zip, Whip, tell me. Somebody. We're good. Thank you, my friends. All right. Well, at least you got to see the feeding frenzy of the 300-gallon. And what else do I do in here when I come in the morning? Another thing that I do, of course, is I check the temp of each of the tanks, and I do an equipment check. And I'll tell you what I mean by equipment check. Sometimes the little, these little guys here, I'll show you. This is prevents a backflow. It prevents a backflow so that water doesn't go down to the air pump. Sometimes these disconnect, and what happens is that it just changes the pressure, and all of the pumps stop working. So I've got to be on top of that. Now, that's not going to be a problem in the future because I'm going to go ahead and remove those backflow valves, one-way valves. I'm going to remove them because the main unit, this down here, actually has a backflow valve built into it. Now, that was different from the first unit I used. If you remember that first unit that I put in place, this one down here, that one didn't have that backflow valve on the main airline. So this one has that, and so I don't really need to use these little one-way valves. So I'm gonna take all those off of all of these to prevent that pressure, that loss of pressure. And then I come down here and none of the pumps are on. And if they are on at all, it's just real faint. Especially in the summer where the tanks get real hot, you got to have a lot of oxygen. Yeah, ex-collie, that was definitely a Homer Simpson duh moment. You are right. So let me sit down and let me arrange this light and just sit down and talk to you one-on-one. So you're getting a behind-the-scenes look at the fish room that I don't think anybody's ever seen. Heck, I don't even think I've seen it. So let me close up this tank here. I already showed you the how well this little green terrier is doing, right? He is looking so good. A little beauty, just a complete beauty. So the mics were not the problem. The mics were fine. The problem was me accidentally hitting the mute button. So let's not go too hard on let's not go too hard on Boya. And I'm going to put this down here. I'm gonna adjust the. There we go. I'm going to set this down and hopefully we can be in place here. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Make sure everything's locked in here. Hey, you know what I forgot? I forgot my coffee. All right, so the morning routine is pretty straightforward. After I get off this live stream, I'm going to rinse the hang-on back on the discus tank in fresh water, one of the hang-on backs, probably the hang-on back on the planted here behind me. And I'll probably give the big tanks, the 300 and the 210, I'll give them a water change. Now, some of you would probably like to see that. And I'll tell you, I've got like a thousand videos. I have a water change playlist. If you go into the water change playlist, you'll see like 1,000 videos on me water changing everything here. Over my shoulder here is a big fan that helps to blow cold air in from the house into the garage, so that when it's 100 outside, it's in the 80s in here, which is a big difference. It's still hot, but it's a lot better than being 100 in the garage. I do have weather stripping on the door and styrofoam insulation on the garage door, but it still gets very hot in here. I'm eventually going to try and run a vent opening, because I've got a vent right by the door to the fish room. I might just try and contact an HVAC person and just run a vent up there that actually comes out and blows whatever it is going on in the house into the fish room. It's either that or get a split unit. All right, so let me know any comments, any questions. Go ahead and ask them now. I've got the I'm going to go ahead and scroll through here. So funny that I actually muted myself and then went crazy looking for other reasons why. That ever happened to you? That can happen in some other area of life where you go looking for some problem and then you realize that why isn't my car working? Oh, it's out of gas, dude. You know. Zach is asking about a Super VC10 in a 75. Yes, a VC10 should work in a 75. They can be aggressive and territorial and kind of like the same, probably closer to a fire hap than a tangerine tiger. I think they're part of that same family, the Protomelus, I believe. Aren't VC10s Protomelus? So they're not the most crazy killer, but they can be rough. But 75, put some breaks in line of sight for other fish, and that should work. Kim and Coral say get a mini split. Man, I hear that from so many people. Let me see what the super chats are like today. We'll do a fundraiser, a mini split fundraiser. People assume that if you have a channel and you've got like 50,000 subscribers, you must be rich. The reality of it is that no, you are probably making between maybe 300 and 500 a month max, right? Depending on your views. If you're getting, let's say, 50 to 100,000 views per video, you're going to make more naturally. But a little channel like mine kind of goes along and makes a monthly stipend. Now, it was better during COVID. COVID had a better revenue. I think more people were home just messing around with their tanks, but that's changed. How many of you out there are drinking out of a channel cup? A Cichlids and Coffee cup? Let me know in the comments. The live streams are always better when you're drinking out of a Cichlids and Coffee cup. Now, do you know why it's called a VC10? I think I've shared this trivia with you. Why is a VC10 called a VC10? Who knows? I'm going to adjust the phone here. Hold on. Yeah, Whip, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've got a channel. You've got 1,000 subscribers. You must be making a lot of money. Yeah, right. It's sort of like Spotify. I think you get what? You get a 100,000 plays on Spotify. You get 5 cents. Kendall G, having a beer? Hey, Kendall, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. The VC-10 is a type of airplane that used to fly over Africa, and a very fast plane that would dart over Lake Malawi. And the VC-10 cichlid is very fast, very hard to catch, and it then got the nickname VC-10. So there you go. Jerry, good to see you here, Jerry. You too, Whip. I love my moderators, best moderators on YouTube. I'll have a beer with you, Kendall. Uh-oh, here we go. This is going to turn into a drunken brawl by the end of the live stream. I haven't done any cichlids and suds in a long time. Maybe we're due for a cichlids and suds. I was doing those on Wednesday night, and it just got a little bit, I got a little bit too busy with the part-time job that I took on. And so maybe it's time for a cichlids and suds. Jerry, you got beer abs? That's instead of a 6-pack, you have a keg, right? Okay. Kim and Carl, I'm highly with cichlids and suds. All right, something to consider. I had I got the logo already made up. So maybe Wednesday night, we'll see. All right, any other questions that you'd like to ask me? Go ahead and ask me now. We're going to open this up to questions. Mexicali Fish Keeper Beer and Fish Talk is always start a channel on beer battered fish. I need a sticker. Kendall G, will you please just send me full name and mailing address and write in the subject line, say, I need a sticker. Now, I've got a few different stickers. I've got the one that is the logo of the live stream, and I also have the traditional sticker that the neon sign was based on. So let me know which one you want, or maybe I'll send you both. I also have some Northfin stickers, some Glass Cages stickers. So tell me what kind of stickers you want. I'll send them to you. Anybody on here who wants a sticker, just go ahead and write to me at ben.o.cichlid. Put sticker in the subject line so it doesn't get thrown into the trash, and I'll go ahead and get you a sticker. Can you keep a betta tank in the kitchen window, or is it too much sunlight? Tommy's Reptiles. Let's give Tommy a shout out. I don't think there'd be anything wrong with a kitchen window. You just got to watch your algae. You know, you're going to get a lot of algae in there. You know, you could probably put a little small, I don't know, maybe an auto. I mean, would a betta harass an auto cichlids? Put a little auto cichlids in there to help. That might help. But should be okay. Throw some plants in there. Maybe maybe a little hornwort, a little. I wouldn't put a nubius, not with direct sunlight. Maybe maybe a sword, or you know, some crypts, something like that, and the sunlight will help them grow. Whip's World, everything I make goes back to the channel. Yeah, I tend to spend a little bit more than I make. All right, let me look here at the comments. My channel is a lost leader. See, Kendall, Hey, Tamara. Good to see you. Now, see, Kendall knows more about this. They're asking you what side of the house the window's on. See if you get morning light or afternoon light. And M&C Aquatics wants to know if there are blinds. Yeah, with blinds, you'd be able to then adjust it. Yeah, a few hours of sun, I don't think that'd be too bad. Just make sure you don't overheat or overlight. Naxime, Nalagain, you have good energy, sir. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you for that. I feel pretty good for 70. Adam McReynolds, good morning to you. Tamara, Tammy here. Carl. All right, any more questions? Yeah, if I had to buy everything out of the household general account, there would definitely be more discussions with my wife about what I do. But because my YouTube revenue, as small as it might be, goes directly into a separate account, it's completely off of her radar, and so it ends up. I mean, sometimes I'll move money into the account just to help cover with the utilities that I use in the garage. Uh, if I was running this fish room in California, I don't think I'd be able to afford it with the cost of utilities out there. I hear it's gone up 50% since I left. So that means we probably would have been getting a $1,500 to $2,000 bill every 2 months, something like that, which would have been out of the, as opposed to like 300, 1 to 300 every 2 months here in Nashville. More like 100. Zach says, I'm getting a lot of poop at the top of my Sun canister when cleaning after 3 months. Well, you know what I'm going to say, Zach. You need a pre-filter to catch the big pieces and hold them until they become pulverized into dust. And then they'll go down and they'll get caught by the filter media. Be sure that your Sun is set up correctly. And by that, what I mean, at the very bottom bottom tray, have your very coarse media, very coarse sponges, then medium, and then a finer sponge. I wouldn't go too fine because you'll probably clog up. And then at the very top, the last thing the water touches before it goes back to the tank, this is how I was setting them up, and it worked for me, is I would put any chemical filtration like ChemiPure or anything like that that you're using, activated carbon, that go on the very top, and maybe before that, maybe some pinky floss. Now, the problem with putting a floss in a canister is that it will block quickly and you have to pull it out frequently. So you may want to avoid the floss in a canister. Just go coarse, medium, a little bit less medium, and then any chemical or polishing that you're using, ChemiPure, things like that, carbon, put that at the very top at the end. So the water goes to the bottom of a Sun and then travels, is pulled up through the media and then returns to the tank. It surprises me that you're getting gunk on the top. That should have been caught down below. Now, another trick that you might consider, something that Pond Guru used to do, is he used to put ceramic rings at the very bottom of the Sun. Just be sure that when you put them in, they're small enough rings so that your bottom basket can sit seated correctly. In other words, not pushed up a little bit or be off a little bit. Be sure it's seated correctly. And then that should also catch big pieces of junk. Best advice I can give you, buy a chunk, a cube, a big square of sponge material, and put it onto the intake. Check with Corey over Aquarium Co-op. They might have some that slide on. A pre-filter is the best way to go. That would be my number one. Now, by the way, I was joking a second ago about super chats. If anyone's done a super chat, I've missed it, especially when I had the camera turned around. So if you did do a super chat and I missed it, I'm sorry. And thank you. Let's see here. Any more questions? Tamara is loving her 40 and 39 gallon mixed tanks. What's mixed in there, Tamara? You probably told me before. The algae scrubber comes from Santa Monica Filtration, who I believe are no longer in Santa Monica. They might have left California for, I think, maybe Nevada, Idaho, Iowa. I forget. I think they might have moved out of Santa Monica, but Santa Monica Filtration. Mike Kilpatrick, 4 non-heated tanks. Yeah, heaters are a huge, huge energy drain. As a matter of fact, I have uninterrupted power backups in the fish room. If I plug the heaters into them, they run out of power immediately. I mean, they go out of power right away. So you almost got to turn your heaters off when you're using your USBs. I also have now a propane powered outside generator that is 12,000 watts. In a very serious long blackout, that thing will kick in. That'll run the fish room. That'll run most of the house. As long as we're not running the dryer, the dishwasher, it'll run the whole house. So there's some backup there. The best backups are the ones that kick in automatically when the power goes out. Those are the best backups. But I mean, those are expensive. You're looking at $10,000. Yeah, Jerry, you ran into some a tough patch there, my friend. Jerry's fish room ran into a very difficult water situation. That was a hard one, man. That was hard. It was hard for me to hear it. It was hard for me to hear the story. It was tough. GP, I'm getting used to this portrait video versus landscape. I think possibly, and I've got to look into it more, but maybe I can go live on a landscape setting. That might work and show you a little bit more of the fish room instead of just my mug. William Tucker, are you asking me if I'll ever have an angelfish tank? I love angelfish. I had a big, beautiful black veil. Love that fish back in California. It just hasn't quite fit what I'm doing in the fish room, but it doesn't mean that someday in the future I might not go that route. One thing to keep in mind about what I do is I really try and keep it within the amount of bandwidth that I want to dedicate to what I'm doing. I don't want to get into a burnout. I've seen and heard of fish keepers and YouTubers who kind of hit a wall and they burn out. And I think it's because they take on too much. So I don't want to be that guy. I want to go ahead and just kind of keep it, which is why I'm thinking about putting the discus into the 90. I just got to figure out what to do with the fish in the 90. Would they do okay in the 210? Maybe. Do I fire up that 60-gallon acrylic tank that I've had forever? Possibly. But then that adds another tank to the mix. Do I want another tank in the mix? Do I buy a tank from Glass Cages? Tempting. I'm not sure if, $2,000 is in the budget right now for that project. Salient Aquatics picking up a 375 gallon today. Oh my God. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Wally's Fish World. What do you guys who keep platy live bears do with all the babies? I had mine for a month and already overrun with babies. Well, Wally, if you have cichlids, and this is going to sound morbid, I think you know what I'm going to say. You can use them as a feeder fish. You can take them to the local fish store after you grow them out. You're going to have a lot of grow out tanks because you're going to get a lot of waves of them. I hear this from people with convict tanks. The convicts are like rabbits. You start with 3, and then you have 300. Why is the spelling on your shirt backwards? Is beware backwards? Beware? Irab? Irab? It's something. It's a glitch with the way it's set up. If I turn the camera around, probably it would be straight. M&C Aquatics, I'm growing out 4 veil tail marbled electric blue. Oh my goodness, those sound beautiful. And 3 veil tail black lace. See, I love those. Now, the only thing you have to worry about is don't have anything in that tank that's going to be nippy, because it's like having thread fins. It's like beautiful, perfect nip material. Those fish are probably gorgeous. Michael wants to know where you got that tank, Salient. Chemco Super 9 Polar Bear has got a great assortment of fish. B Wood. What's going on, B Wood? Yeah, I think it's because the camera is flipped. I'm using the back camera. If I were to turn it around, I could actually be set up correctly. Now, in the future, what I could do is use a monitor, like set up my laptop as a monitor, and then turn the camera around. So you're using the front lenses on the camera are better quality lenses anyway. But all right. Salient Aquatics, that's a custom made tank. I bet you, man, you must have invested a lot of money in that, my friend. That tank will probably last you the rest of your life. M&C keeps live bears with angels. They keep the population down. There you go. Never forget, an angel is a cichlid. He has that little switch in his head, and angels can go off. Mirror your image. Let's see. Mirror your image. I'm not really sure how I would do that, and I'm actually, because I'm not sure, I'm a little bit afraid to touch anything. What is this? What does this button do? Oh, look at that. Green screen. See, I told you. I didn't want to touch anything. There we go. Now, how about this? Let's see what this does. We're going to learn together here. It looks like a little camera. Hold on. Okay, that just shuts off the camera and turns it back on. And then you've got this magic wand up here. I'm not going to touch that. Who knows what'll happen. Mirror your image. All right. Anyway, I'll learn how to do it on the, I'm not sure if I'll keep doing them on the phone or not. I'll probably go back to my regular, Yeah, I'll probably just go back to the regular way of doing it, but this is just kind of fun. Just wanted to see if this microphone, without me pushing the mute button, if this microphone would last for the entire length of time. Kimco Super 9 Polar Bear. My water smells like warm water. No fishy smell. Your water in your tank should never smell bad. If it smells bad, something's wrong. Salient says this is going to turn up in the shorts, a 1 hour short. All right. Well, talk about hour. We're at the hour. There's about 62 of you on there. And I hope all of you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, I still appreciate that you stop by. But if you like the channel, be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Big shout out to my wonderful moderators, and big shout out to supporters like Northfin and Aquarium Co-op and all the rest of them. Cunningham Tropicals, all the rest of them that support the channel. Big shout out to all of you. And thank you so much for joining me on this experiment. Next week, I think we'll go back to the normal way of doing things, even though I did like the ability to walk around. That was kind of fun. All right. Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you'd like to see more like this, or if you'd like to go ahead and go back to the old way. Also, let me know your thoughts on a cichlid and suds, if you'd like to see one of those. All right. So just share that in the comments. And I think with that being said, we will go ahead and end off. Thank you for hanging in there, despite the sound issues, despite my fat thumb hitting the mute button. It's like the good old days when I first started live streaming, and the live stream would be upside down. All right. I don't even know how to turn this live stream off. Am I just going to be like on forever now? Let me see. Where's end the stream? All right. All of you have a great weekend. You're the best. You rock. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Here we go. There's the end button. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next week. Love you too. Bye-bye.